It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. In this episode, we have the one and only Linda Murray Bullard, who's in the building, and she'll be talking about how to get funding for small business. Should be interesting. How's it going, Linda? How you doing?
All is well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in and allowing us to stream into your home, especially during these very remarkable, challenging times we're living in these days. So thank you so much. You know, before we get started, folks see this, the big old headline down there says, wait a minute, how business can get funding. That's the Shay Brown remix version. But before we talk about that and your background and how famous you are, I'm curious, why are businesses still struggling these days to get funding when it seems like everybody wants to give you credit these days?
Well, setup. It all goes back to, are they credit worthy, funding worthy, fundable? So understanding what that looks like, it's general business principles that most businesses don't know how to apply because they don't know it exists.
Now, the part that caught my attention was ideas. Everybody has an idea. To the business owner sitting out there and saying, wait a minute, Shay, when she says you have to have the right setup, before we find out how famous she is, ladies and gentlemen, I know some of y'all know how famous she is, but she'll get into her background in a minute. When you say proper setup, tell us a little more about what you mean by that.
Absolutely. So there are prerequisites that businesses need in order to become fundable. And some of those prerequisites includes how they're structured. Are they structured appropriately? Do they have operations in their businesses? Do they have standard procedures of operations, documentation in their businesses? Or are they using the industry's marketing channels and distribution channels? Do they have sales strategies? Do they have financial management systems? Are they doing well with customer service after the sale? So those are things that businesses don't really know that they don't know. And so the majority of them just want to sell something. And to have sustainability and longevity takes a lot more than just selling something.
It takes having that cash flow in the business and be able to do that. Now, speak to the person who's listening saying, wow, I don't want to have any additional debt. And can you take a moment? This might sound a little fundamental, ladies and gentlemen, but I want you to stay tuned. Take a moment to talk the difference between having business debt, which I think has to be good debt, versus personal debt, and why that's so important for where they are now.
Absolutely. So understanding how to use someone else's money to bank your ideas is a power play in business. A lot of times people govern their businesses the way they govern their personal income or their homes. And it's two separate thoughts of trains of thought. And so in business, you want to allow people to bank your ideas, but you have to be set in a position so that will work for them and work for you.
You've been in business for a number of years. You've seen things change. How have you seen business use financing during very difficult times? And I know, the world has seasons, high highs, low lows, ups and downs. By the way, winter, summer, spring, and fall, there's always something going on. But during challenging times in the economy, how have you seen business be able to leverage using credit and other people's money to really expand the business?
Absolutely. So there are grant funding. After the pandemic, there was so much money being given to so many people to help them to stay afloat because America realizes that small businesses are the backbone of the economy, period. So in realizing that, there are a lot of banks and different places looking for businesses that were credible so that they could give them grants and give them access to opportunities that they may not have gotten any other way. So leveraging their experience and their formation in order to connect with those resources. The SBA was giving out grant money and loans and PPP and everything else, trying to help us stay afloat.
I love it. And I think it was needed. I think it was
Yeah,
important, and it certainly not only kept them afloat, but allowed us to grow. And you may, some, a number of folks may not agree, but I like what you're saying. I'm spot on. To the person that's a dualpreneur, and they're thinking to themselves, all right, I work a full-time job and I'm a full-time entrepreneur, by the way. I have some credit over here, but they're in the nonprofit side. Talk about how the nonprofit side, how this applies. I know a number of folks are business owners, some of your LLCs, and few might be S Corps and so forth, but how does it apply to the nonprofit? Is that a fair conversation? Is one and the same, or are they
absolutely.
two?
Well, it's all structure, right? So you have to have structure, but also in nonprofits, being a collaborator works well because there are lots of money. Nonprofits have access to more cash than for business sectors. But the thing about nonprofits is it is highly important for them to understand that they need to collaborate with other businesses in order to sustain and get more money. Like writing one check for 5 or 6 nonprofits is probably more doable and more favorable than being a solo entity out here by yourself in a silo.
And what should nonprofit, what should folks that want to collaborate? Now, I love that because I believe that collaboration crushes competition, one of our 12 rules for life. So when you're looking to collaborate with a nonprofit, what's 1, 2, or 3 things that folks should look for? And then we're going to get into her background. I'm going to ask her to tell her backstory, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to get that. But you might be thinking, she's talking about collaborating, Shay. But if she's on my side as an entrepreneur, what does she look for when she's trying to collaborate with a nonprofit?
Absolutely. So most nonprofits build and they build what they do, right? And so what we teach is you want to get wraparound services. Like I have a business owner who has trucks. He has trucks that he's hiring people that are coming out of the justice system that can't find a job. He's teaching them how to do trucking and routes and that kind of thing. We also had the conversation about wraparound services because coming from that situation, he's going to need daycare. He's going to need housing. He's going to need these other things in order to make sure that he's able to work and not worry about where he lay his head. It's all Maslow's hierarchy, right? Trying to get those basic needs met through wraparound services so that that person can get and maintain that employment.
Uh, I like it, by the way. And, for those folks that don't know how famous you are, which would be a surprise. For those folks that are like, Shay, I'm cooking dinner right now, but I'm listening and I like what I'm hearing. Someone else is driving down the road. You might be in their AirPods right now and they're listening to you. Somebody else is watching us on the phone. And maybe we're on the big screen TV. I don't know. But they want to know about what's her backstory. So 2-part question. Number one, who are you, obviously? And then what was the backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now that you're so passionate about?
Absolutely. So who am I? So Paul C. Bronson say I'm the business plug. And that's what I've been since 2017. I've been the business plug. But in addition to that, I am the mother of 3 grown sons and the grandmother of 6 granddaughters and 1 grandson. I have been doing this what I do because in 2013, with the implementation of the Affordable Health Care Act, I lost my 26-year career. And I understand it. I get it because what happens with that is they want the insurance companies to pay out more in benefits than in administration. And so the insurance company that I was working for at the time decided to eliminate 100 jobs in order to get their administration costs down. Business move, right? And it sounds bad. People say, oh, no, I knew that was a bad plan. But no, that same plan saved my niece's life. So I consider that to be a trade off because her being able to get cancer treatment after she lost her job and her insurance means she's still here years later. My passion for business is I wanted to repurpose those things I learned in corporate when I found out business owners don't have human services department. They don't have a planning agency. They don't have a membership or enrollment. All the different places I've worked in 26 years, they didn't have. And so I repurposed those things I learned in order to help businesses to put structure and formation under their business ideas.
And you mentioned the word the business plug, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm not gonna let it get away with that. First of all, shout out to you and your family. I'm glad it worked out and it worked out well, and I'm glad you're doing
Thank you.
what you're doing
Yes,
because you're
very
making
well.
it such a big difference for so many other folks every single day. So thank you. But you kind of threw out like the business plug. People are like, okay, Shay, what is it? Why do they call her the business plug? What's the backstory behind it? I mean, so can you frame the business plug so we know how that came about and why that's something that you adopted as an identity?
Absolutely.
Because I think it's pretty interesting.
Absolutely, because when I lost my job, I again repurposing. I taught for the Women's Business Center, and one of my students said, "Oh, Miss Linda, you have all the answers. You're the plug." Because I found out that most businesses don't use the free services that they pay for when they pay their taxes, like the SBA, right? The SBDCs. I'm using acronyms, but it's Small Business Development Centers. There's one near everyone somewhere. And you can go to sba.gov, put your zip code in, it'll show you your local one. I was teaching for them. And my because I had the answers, my students said, "Oh, Miss Linda, you're the plug." Well, then traveling to Barbados with Paul, he had a mastermind where we were trying to get these 10 ideas from the people in the room. And when I told them all I did, because I was passionate about teaching high school kids how to do business well, I was passionate about helping startups. I was doing all these things and giving away a lot of free information. And he was like, "Okay, Ms. Lynn, well, you're not just the plug, you're the business plug." And so I became the business plug because I plug businesses in to ideas and solid foundations that help them with sustainability and longevity.
I think it's appropriate. I think it's spot on. By the way, it is the truth. You make things happen. Let's take a moment and talk to two different entrepreneurs. Let's first talk to the entrepreneur that's been in business 5 or more years, and they're like, "I didn't get it right. I'm profitable, but credit I kind of stayed away from. But they're at a place now where maybe their personal credit's in a good spot." Is it too late for them to get into the game? And what's one, two, or three strategies you'd recommend for them? And then we'll come back and talk about the person that's ready to get going, getting started.
Absolutely. So the person that's already started and been in the game, your plan is to look into contracting. You want to look into corporate and government contracting, right? The reason you want to look into those because they're sustainable long term. And then there are other programs out there that will help you along the way. But the first thing is learn all you can about government contracting because I heard, I know people are like, "Oh, well, but they're laying off, they're doing this, they're doing that." But the government will always need small businesses to fulfill contracts.
So the first one is start moving towards contracts, and then that'll also
Yes.
allow them to use the contract revenue, I guess, to offset
Yeah.
going out and getting loans. Is that what
Absolutely.
your
Because well, what
suggestion,
happens,
or?
right? Yeah, so there are different things you can do. So not only can you go out and start doing exactly what you do, right? Doing what you do every day and getting access to more capital in your business, more revenue in your business, but also as you start looking and going branching off into subcontracting, that's where that capital comes into play because a lot of times to play in that game, you have to have access to capital to pre-buy the product before the government pays you for the product, right? So it's just understanding that whole world. It's a whole different world, but it can help a 5-year-old business make a marketable difference in a matter of months.
I love it. Now let's go to the other folks. Some of you are dualpreneurs. You work a full-time job and you're a full-time entrepreneur. Shout out. Nothing wrong with that. There's no shame. I mean, you can be a 9 to 5 millionaire. Come on, that's possible.
That's
So you could do
that's
that, by the way. What do you say to the person like, okay, I'm just getting my paperwork going. I filed it, got my little LLC going. How do I start getting credit established when I don't have any customers yet, but I know I can get customers? So again, I know it's a loaded question because people are different places and different spaces, but what's one, two, or three things you'd recommend to that person that's just kind of getting
well,
in the game?
let's go back to I just started an LLC. Most people who started an LLC, that's all they did. So they're not holding meetings, annual meetings at least. They have no paperwork for resolutions. Let's get compliant first. Let's get the LLC compliant. Make sure that you have the documentation, that you have business files, because saying you're an LLC means you have agreed to have an annual meeting. And people say, "Well, it's just me though. Why do I need a meeting?" Well, you need to document the processes that are happening in your business, and your minutes are legal documents. Just they have a signature. So let's get that first, because when you go looking for funding, they're going to ask you for your first minutes from your first meeting, and they're going to ask you probably from the last 2 minutes. And a lot of businesses, we're having to go back and teach them what minutes are and teach them how to do that. That's the first thing. Learn to do that. Set your business up the right way the first time. It'll be easier to do the things that are not necessary starting out than have to go back and clean up like we're doing with a lot of these businesses out here. The second thing is find a mentor. Find someone in your industry who you can trust, who you can bounce ideas off of. They give you the shortcuts. So score.org, free service. Score.org is available all over the United States. You can have a business mentor, a retired executive who have donated their time to supporting businesses like you. So find a mentor, be that a mentor in your city or a mentor on score.org. But you need to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of. And go learn how your industry does business. A lot of people only know Uncle Joe that's selling across the street, but you need to know your business, learn your industry on the local level, on the state level, and on the national level. What's going on in your industry? Are you in a good industry? Because we know that a lot of people go into food, and food has a 90% fail rate.
Ooh,
90%. That's high.
yeah.
So you want to learn. Yeah. So you have to follow the success. They tell you success leaves clues. Follow the successful path of those people who've been in business for 5, 10, 15 years or more.
I love it. And that's a perfect segue as you were sharing that to a segment we have here called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks that tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you already know what we're about to do. In fact, you can go ahead and say those magical words right now. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year. For all the other new folks who are joining in, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show family. We're glad you're here. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start here at the show. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny that past is, you know what? The past no longer equals, well, the future. And so my question for Linda on the other side is really twofold. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear?
Today-
And number two, what was another setback or challenge you had in your business or life, and how did you bounce back from it?
Absolutely. So, September the 21st, 2021, I was diagnosed with COVID's Delta variant. And I drove myself to the emergency room after getting my results. And they say within minutes of being there, I flatlined. So they put me on a ventilator and in a coma for 15 days. When I woke up 15 days later, nothing below my neck worked. So I had to lay there and rebuild my life. But here's the thing, how that impacted my business is I had already put automation in my business. So my business was able to continue. I was in the hospital 25 days, and it took me a year to get myself back up on my feet. But because I had automation in my business, my customers, the people who do business with me, my business didn't miss a beat. You need to think about what happens when you're not there. Like, have you prepared for your business to operate without you? Because getting back on my feet, I had to concentrate on getting back healthy and getting back on my feet and doing all those things. Again, nothing below my neck worked. So I had to make sure that I was able to take care of myself so that I could get back in the game. Our health is our true wealth, because if we're not able to do what we're doing, then nothing else matters, right? So just understanding the importance of having technology and automation in your business. I know you're used to doing it manual. I know you don't trust a lot of things. I know AI makes you jittery. I get all of that. But had it not been for me having automation and technology in my business, I would have had to fold when I was so sick.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for being so transparent. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're healed. I'm glad you're back making a difference you're making for all of us entrepreneurs. So we appreciate that. You know, one of the questions I get to ask often when we have time, we have a few minutes now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice that you ever been given? Now I'll frame it for the audience so they're kind of clear that we're not asking them off the mountain with the 10 commandments or anything here, okay? But we are curious. You've read so many books, you probably can't count anymore. You've had lots of mentors along this journey. Video training, well, I guess this is what we do today. So if you had to step back and say, wow, Shay, here's just one of all the advice I've been given. Here's one piece of advice I want to share with the audience. What is it and why?
Be who you needed. Become the person you needed. In your business, when I was starting out, I received a lot of information. Like there's so much information in entrepreneurship, but I had to become who I needed at different rungs in my life. So becoming who I needed means not just telling you the how, but also showing you what it needs to be done, right? Not just telling you the what, but then showing you how to get it done. So I'm not just telling you, hey, you need a website. Hey, you need this. Hey, you need that. I'm actually putting you in touch with people who can help you build that website. Or I'm going step by step, showing you how to make it happen. My whole business model is built on building your own six-figure business, where I help you by getting you to the point, and then I walk away while you go carry on to the next level.
Woo! I love it, by the way. I love it. When you're not helping people build six-figure businesses, helping them have systems in place, helping them get credit, helping them get money to fund their business, which is a tall order for you saving the world. What do you do for fun these days?
I travel and learn about people and their cultures. I am so inquisitive about how did people become who they are today. And so I have a natural curiosity about people.
Where's one place I mean, you can't leave us hanging and say you love to travel. Everybody's like, well, what's one place you like to travel and why? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to let her get away with this. Don't worry. I'm going to ask the question, what's one place you enjoy traveling and why?
So I went and did the DNA studies, right? You have, two, but and I'm going to use her name because I actually met her and know her. So I went to Dr. Page's African ancestry, and I found out that my mother's DNA first originated in Cameroon in West Africa. So
Wow.
I went to Cameroon, West Africa, to Douala, the capital, financial capital of Cameroon, and put my feet on the ground of my ancestors. So yeah, I'm
Wow.
that girl. I am that girl.
What did that feel like and what were you thinking when you were there?
It's just you don't come back the same. Like everybody who I know who has been through there, who has been and reconnected, like using Dr. Page's African ancestry DNA test to not just for me, but my brothers and sisters, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, like everybody on my bloodline can use this one test to find out where we came from. And so I did my dad and my mom, and being among the people, they were so welcoming. Like when I told them my DNA says I come from here, they were like, "Yes, you do." And even as recently as last week, I met someone from Nigeria who said, "Of course you are. You are part, yes, because you have the features." So yeah, I love, love, love that I was able to reconnect. Also, in that by posting it on Ancestry.com, I found a cousin who I his part of our tree had been dislocated for over 100 years, and now we've pulled it back together. So yeah.
Wow, I can hear the excitement. I can hear the energy in your voice, man. Amazing. You're making a huge difference in the world, not only for business owners, but for families every single day. As we come down the home stretch, a two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? I'm not sure if your firm's taking on any clients. And number two, how can folks best connect with you? How can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have right now?
Absolutely. So the first thing is connect with me at getthebusiness.org. That's my website. It's GETTHEBUSINESS.org. And also, I'm on all social media, either by my name, Linda Murray Bullard, or by my business name, LSMB Business Solutions. So they can connect with me there. And I am taking on new clients. The people that I want to work with are those who are ready to do their work. It doesn't matter what length of time you've been in business, but if I can show you how to do your work, it will help you to understand your business more, and you're going to understand yourself as well, because I believe in educating you on the business and on yourself.
Wow. Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can make more money, but you can't make more time. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because, well, without you, well, we don't have a show, by the way. So thank you for allowing us to stream into your home. We appreciate that. And I never get tired of reminding you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life and where you are, that whether you're going to that next level of success for you, whatever that looks like, or you've been hit with the punch you never saw coming. The one thing I know for sure is that today, in this moment, is your January 1st, because you woke up, by the way, you woke up. And because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name hasn't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things how we connect again next time. Peace. See you on the other side. We out of here.